Welcome. So, today we're unpacking a massive psychological paradigm shift in workplace culture. This is an absolutely crucial topic, specifically designed for you, leaders, managers, and HR professionals out there. If you've ever felt like getting your team on the same page is like trying to herd a bunch of unruly cats, well, trust me, you are not alone. But here's the thing, the problem might not actually be your team. It's highly likely a fundamental misunderstanding of what genuine teamwork psychologically requires. So, how does leadership actually create unity? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into as we explore why alignment consistently beats collective agreement and how this one simple nuance can literally transform the way you lead.
Okay, let's dive right into this. And I want to start by completely disrupting what we normally expect in a traditional corporate environment. A team does absolutely not need everyone to agree. I know, right? For decades, we've had it drilled into our heads that forced consensus is the holy grail of teamwork. And the result, we sit in these endless, exhausting meetings, desperately trying to get every single person to nod their heads in this total and honestly, often artificial harmony. But from a human psychology perspective, forcing that collective agreement is actually a flaw, not a feature. When the human brain faces forced consensus, it doesn't feel harmony, it feels frustration. It totally stifles innovation and just creates a fake social peace. You really don't need everyone to think exactly the same way to accomplish incredible things. What a team actually fundamentally needs is for everyone to know exactly where they're going. Think of it like a shared destination or a compass. Just take a second to let that reality sink in. Imagine a team totally lost in a dense forest. If everyone simply agrees that the tree in front of them is an oak tree, well, that doesn't help them get out of the woods, does it? But if someone pulls out a compass and points true north, suddenly you've got a functional team. You can have a room full of people initially looking in completely different directions, but as long as that compass comes out and shows a clear goal, the organization thrives. Success isn't about syncing up everyone's thoughts, it's about syncing up everyone's ultimate target. And this brings us to the real heart of the issue. The great misunderstanding in organizational leadership is confusing alignment with agreement. It is an incredibly common mistake. Just picture the daily life of an HR director or a project manager who spends weeks, literally weeks, trying to get all the stakeholders to agree on some minor detail. They drain their energy, they border on burnout, and it's all because they're calling something alignment when they're actually demanding absolute agreement. Psychologically speaking, these two concepts are light years apart. When leaders demand agreement but call it alignment, they create massive friction. Employees feel ignored, and leaders just feel frustrated. Recognizing this difference is really the first step to unlocking a healthy corporate culture. And this brilliantly illustrates the fundamental contrast we're talking about here. On the left side, agreement simply means having the same opinion. It's everyone looking at a problem and saying, "Yep, I see it exactly the same way you do." It's a very comfortable trap that leads straight into groupthink. But on the right side, alignment implies a shared direction. Alignment says, hey, I might look at this problem in a completely different way than you, but I am 100% committed to moving toward the exact same outcome. Agreement demands intellectual conformity, whereas alignment, that shared direction, is the true psychological engine of collective progress. Let's take a moment to unpack the sheer power of this quote. Agreement means people have the same opinion. Alignment means people understand the goal even when they see things differently. As a leader, you really have to ask yourself, do you want a team of head nodders, or do you want people who are actively invested in reaching the finish line? Think about the immense psychological freedom this gives an employee. You're essentially telling your teams that they have the right to see things differently, and that their unique perspective is totally valid. They don't have to abandon their individual professional opinions just to keep the peace. When people truly grasp the overarching goal, they can debate the details vigorously without ever derailing the company's momentum. That is exactly how you build a resilient, highly engaged culture. What's really fascinating here is how the reality of the modern workplace breaks down. The psychological approach shows us that high-performing teams actually rely on three specific pillars. Let me give you three concrete examples to really illustrate this. First, different perspectives. Imagine a sales team and a legal team working on a massive contract. Sales wants to move fast to close the deal, while legal wants to slow down to minimize risk. They absolutely do not agree on the pace, but they are perfectly aligned on the goal, securing a safe, profitable contract for the company. Second, healthy debate. Think about software engineers. They might fiercely debate for hours over which software architecture to use. They'll clash over the code, but they are completely aligned on the need to launch a robust app on deadline. And third, diverse expertise. In a hospital setting, surgeons and financial administrators often have completely opposing methods for managing resources. It's a natural friction.
but their alignment saves lives because they are both aiming for the absolute best patient care possible. Too many leaders see these debates as signs of a broken team, when in reality, they are the vital ingredients for success. But here's the catch. All of that beautiful diversity only works under one non-negotiable condition. All those different perspectives, all that healthy debate, and the diverse expertise we just talked about with our salespeople, engineers, and doctors, they only produce results if they are bound by one common direction. If you have diverse expertise without a shared roadmap, you don't have an innovative team, you just have chaos. It's kind of like trying to assemble pieces from 5 completely different jigsaw puzzles on the same table. It just doesn't work. But when you channel that dynamic, even conflict-heavy energy, toward a single unified destination, all that friction instantly transforms into forward motion. This dynamic is perfectly summed up right here. The best teams succeed because everyone understands what they are trying to achieve. I'm speaking directly to the HR professionals out there for a second. How much precious time do you waste every single week managing interpersonal conflicts that in reality only exist because the final organizational goal just isn't clear to the employees? Success absolutely does not come from an echo chamber where everyone reassures each other by thinking the exact same thing. It comes from a crystal clear comprehension of the final goal. When the finish line is visible and understood by everyone, the paths people take to get there might vary, but that variation is exactly what allows teams to solve complex problems along the way. So the crucial point is this: great leaders don't create conformity, they create clarity. This is a massive light bulb moment for anyone involved in managing people. If you're spending your days trying to get every member of your team to act the same, speak the same, and agree on every single point, well, you are managing for conformity. And conformity, my friends, is the mortal enemy of innovation. Your actual job as a leader is not to format minds. Your job is to illuminate the path. You provide the map, you hold the compass, and you create absolute, unshakable clarity around the mission. Let's contrast these two leadership visions for a moment. The old, totally outdated mindset was all about removing differences. It's this stubborn belief that all friction is inherently bad and that we have to sand down all the rough edges of our employees until they fit into identical little boxes. I mean, it's like trying to turn your talented, vibrant workforce into a factory of identical robots, which is an absolute nightmare for any modern HR department. The effective modern vision, on the other hand, is about removing confusion. You aren't erasing differences. You're just making sure those differences don't create operational confusion. You're ensuring that even with radically opposing viewpoints, no one is ever disoriented about what the company is ultimately trying to build. And all of this really boils down to one undeniable truth, kind of like a mathematical equation for organizational health. Alignment does not equal agreement. This is the very core of our whole explainer today. We've seen how trying to force collective agreement inevitably leads to frustration and stalls your projects. But just imagine the psychological liberation for you and your teams when you finally break that equal sign between these two concepts. You fundamentally change how you communicate, you transform those endless meetings into actually efficient working sessions, and you finally start evaluating your team's success based on their ability to move forward rather than their ability to just agree on everything. Different minds, one direction. This right here is the ultimate key to how leadership truly creates unity. Unity is not some silent submission where everyone just applauds the boss. True unity is noisy. It's sometimes messy. It's diverse, brilliant brains all pushing the exact same cart up the hill together. And honestly, this is the most empowering message you can possibly send to your people. They can bring their authentic personalities, their unique problem-solving skills, and their distinct professional backgrounds to the table. Psychological diversity and operational unity absolutely must coexist. You don't have to leave your critical thinking at the door to be a team player. You just have to point that brilliant mind in the same direction as everyone else. So I want to leave you with this thought and consider it a bit of a challenge for the leaders tuning in. Have you ever worked in a team where everyone had radically different opinions but shared the exact same goal? Just think about the creative energy in that room. Think about the results that team produced compared to a team where everyone just politely nodded along. So the next time you're leading a difficult meeting or navigating a complex project, ask yourself, are you trying to get them all to agree with you, or are you trying to get them all moving in the same direction? Because if you can create that climate of pure alignment, there is literally no limit to what you can accomplish together.